Hey guys, today I'm gonna be talking about how to get an apartment. I just moved into my first apartment, so you guys can learn a little bit from me. I'm 20 years old, and on my Instagram I've been getting a lot of like DMs and replies on my story on like advice on how to move out, or like what do you need to move out, and how did I get this place. Like, it's a lot of questions because I had the same exact questions, and I'm gonna just give you guys the rundown. For a disclaimer, I do not know everything. Like, don't think I'm an expert, and don't take everything I say like, okay, that's what it is, that's what it is. That's just how I got my apartment. I still have a lot of learning to do about apartments, and every day I'm learning something new. Other people go through different things. Other people have a different way of how they got their apartment, because I never knew anything about apartments. Because honestly, my whole life I've never lived in an apartment. My parents have lived in an apartment. I'm like the last child, so once I was born, they already had their house. I just been living in the house my whole life. I don't plan to stay here forever. This is just like something I could just start off with. So I have my laptop right here. Made like a whole list on things that I didn't know, and I just think these things are more important. So first thing that I did while I was getting this apartment, I'm telling you, everybody does it differently. Everybody has like a different way of doing everything. If you didn't know, I am pregnant. In my head, I already knew that I wanted to raise like my baby, like my first baby, in like my own place. My situation is kind of different because the coronavirus started like in March. In March, I was working at a little food restaurant, and I was only working there for like 2 months, and then I found out I was pregnant, like literally in the same month, like a little bit after coronavirus like started, like the whole thing with like masks, people like getting sick, and hand sanitizer everywhere, da 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 da. So it's like the coronavirus and then me being pregnant, I found out like literally at the same time when they started shutting down a whole bunch of places. They didn't shut down the restaurant I worked at. In the beginning of my pregnancy, I was really sick. Mind you, I worked in a food place, so everything with food and smells had me sick, like throwing up all day. I couldn't eat nothing. I was very weak. I even ended up in the hospital. It was like a whole bunch of stuff, and it was just getting worse, and then I just ended up quitting. I'm not gonna try to find a job while I'm pregnant. All these people are catching it. All the places were closed, like there was curfew everywhere. I didn't work at all during my pregnancy, but it's not that I didn't want to. I didn't want to put myself at risk, but even when everything was opening back up, I was already like 6 months. Like usually 6 or 7 months is like when people leave like their job to go on maternity leave. Since I haven't worked since March until like now, mind you, I moved in on September 15th. To get an apartment is like a long process, so you have to always make sure everything's ahead of time. Like you can't wait last minute and expect to move in. You can't be rushing things because then it just doesn't come out right. For anybody who's watching this, I live in Florida, I live in Miami, so the requirements are probably different. Like in other states, it's probably like cheaper. Things are really expensive down here. Everyone in Miami knows that like rent is very expensive. Like pay subs, which is like basically showing that you work. So obviously like they know that you can pay your rent. Some of them ask for an annual income, which is like how much you make a year. Your pay sub, they'll just probably ask for what's your last paycheck or your last thing. So my last paycheck was all the way in March, so I couldn't even show my last paycheck because it didn't make sense. They also check sometimes for credit, so you need to have a good credit. So if you're young, that's why, once you turn 18, it's really good to open a credit card. Even if like your parents never taught you anything about opening a credit card, you could go to the bank, because that's what I did. And you need a background check. So if you've been convicted of anything, it's kind of way harder to get an apartment, because most places they do background checks. You gotta have a clean record, or like you could try to discuss with them and see what they could work out for you, but I don't know anything about that because my record is clean. Let me start off by saying that I could have honestly got the apartment with my name only, but the thing is, the only thing that was really messing me up was my pay subs, because I had no type of pay sub to show. Like everything else I could have gotten. My apartment, they asked for the pay sub, and they also asked for a background check, credit. Everything was good for me. My credit was good. They accepted everything from me, but she signed off for the pay stubs. I signed off for the rest of the stuff because I had good credit, my background check, everything like that. That's how I got mine. I know some people, they have their pay stubs, they have everything, so they got to sign it themselves, but I couldn't sign it myself. I had to sign it with my mom because of her pay stubs. So if you're missing or you're really bad on one of those things, like the requirements that any apartment gets, every apartment has different requirements, but that's what most apartments do require that I've looked at, because I looked at probably like about 20 different apartments, and they all kind of had the same requirements of the pay stubs, annual income, da 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 da. So I was literally going on different websites. Like, you go on apartments.com, you go on Zillow. There's like a lot of different apartment websites where I was just looking up like apartments in different areas that I liked, and I would put my price range. I was scrolling through all these websites every single day, and all the places that I did like, I would call them, no answer, or like they would answer and they'll be like, oh, it's unavailable, and I'll be like, so what? Why is it on the website? Like, I would always be so mad. That's what it is with the websites, that they could be like iffy, because sometimes they give you either the wrong price, it'll be off the market when you call. After I did that, I went to like different areas. Okay, so I know that there's this street that has a bunch of apartments, and then like I'll just drive around and I would go and see like, okay, it says for lease, let me call this number, let me see what they have available. It was filled of apartments, and then I literally went down to every single apartment, went to the leasing office, and I would ask, oh, like, I'm looking for like a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, this is my range. And then they give you a piece of paper, and then like the paper usually has all the requirements that that apartment needs. The thing is, with some apartments, like, they won't have an apartment ready like maybe in a month or 2. Like, let's say you really like this place and you tell them, oh, I'm looking to rent right now, they're gonna be like, okay, well, I don't have nothing available. Like, when you're talking to these apartment lease office, you always want to give yourself like a month or 2 ahead to see if they have anything available, because they'll probably tell you, okay, like, you want to rent right now, and you'll be like, yeah, but they'll probably have like something available in a month or 2, because they have to get the apartment ready, clean it up, and maybe like somebody else's lease is about to end. So you always want to give yourself like a month or 2 ahead in advance to let them know there's a possible chance that, you know, there's something available for you if you really like that place. You have to make sure you have your options like open for them. As I called like all these places and I asked them, okay, like, are you guys available? They're gonna ask you like if you want a tour. I did so many tours, and you want to make sure that like you go with the person like you're about to move in with, or you go with your mom or your dad or somebody that just knows about places, because they could tell you, oh no, like that closet's too small for you, or like that bathroom, no. Like, so, you know, you have some type of other perspective. You could look at the apartment like, oh my god, like, yes, this is the apartment for me. There's like things that like you might not notice that somebody else might notice. So after doing so much research and all these meetings and tours that I did, I ended up just having to get a realtor, which helped me so much. And mind you, like, I don't know if you have to pay other realtors, but the realtor that I had was free. So I'm pretty sure they get money off of like when you apply for the apartment and you get the apartment. But they're really there just to help you. Like, you tell them they're gonna ask you for your budget, they're gonna ask you what location you like, what do you want in your apartment, like, do you want a balcony, do you want a backyard, do you want this, do you want that, and you just let them know everything, and they will literally send you an email with a file of everything of your budget and less. You let them know which one you like, and then they do everything for you. They contact the owner, they set up a tour for you, they do everything for you, which was way easier, which I should have just done that in the beginning, because I was driving all around Miami. It was a lot of gas, it was hot, I'm pregnant, and it's just like too much going on. I don't have to talk to nobody. Like, she did everything for me. Like, the only thing I really have to do is just give her the payments when she tells me when the payments are due. So another thing that people don't know about apartments is that you need to have a lot of money saved up. Like, it's not like, okay, I have the money for the rent, that's it. No, it's way deeper than that. For example, I'm not gonna tell you guys how much I pay for rent, but I'm gonna tell you this. This is what we have to pay. So the first thing that you have to pay is an application fee. So if you're looking into an apartment, they have application fees. Some application fees are $50, $100, $150, $200, $300. You know, there's different application fees. So your application fee is your background check, your pay stubs, like the stuff I mentioned earlier, credit card score, anything else that they like require. My apartment, the application fee was $150, which is crazy expensive. Like, this is the worst part too. So if you don't get accepted in your application fee, you don't get your money back. So that's how they can move on with the process of you being like the new future resident. So you have to do the application fee first, so which is everything that they require. The application fee is for every person that's living in the apartment. So if you have two people living in an apartment, it was $150 for both of us. So it was $300 just for application fee. So if like somebody didn't get accepted on your application fee, your money is gone and then you have to look for another apartment. I'm telling you, getting apartments and houses in Miami is a scam. I swear, this is all a scam. Application fee, it depends on the apartment. It could take 1 to 2 days. It could take a week. It could take 2 weeks. Like, that's why everything has to be in advance. Unless like you go on Craigslist and you find a room to rent in someone's house or something like that that has nothing to do with apartments and like associations. You need to have time in advance. Like, I had to pay the first month, the last month, which is most apartments do that, because the other apartments I was also looking at, they also ask for the first month and the last month. A security deposit. Every apartment has different amounts. So my security deposit at my apartment was $1,000. So basically saying, like, if you mess up anything in the apartment, they will take those $1,000. Like, when you move out, they're gonna take it. But if you don't mess up anything in the apartment, you get your $1,000 back at the end, like whenever you decide to move out. That's why when you go to most apartments, you notice that there's not a lot of things on the walls. If you hanging up like stuff on the walls, you obviously need to like make holes in the walls. So you just have to make sure that when you leave your apartment and you like sign off the lease, like, okay, I'm moving out, the apartment looks exactly how they gave it to you. So the apartment had no holes on the walls, but we obviously put our TV up on the wall. We put like posters and paintings on the wall. So you have to make sure that like when you move out, you just patch those walls up. Like, it's easy like to patch it up. Honestly, it's fairly easy. So, but you just don't want to make too many holes in your apartment or too many stuff on the walls. But if you don't care about them taking your $1,000 back, then you could customize like your apartment any type of way if you want to. The owner of my apartment, she required an extra fee, which is another $1,000 for an amenities, which is refundable. It's on the contract, so she better not play with my money. So amenities is like things like that they have here. They have a pool, they have a tennis court, a playground, like, you know, all that extra little stuff that comes with the apartment. So basically, like, if I mess up anything there, like in the pool, or if I break something in the pool, or if I break this and that, like, then I don't get my money back. So basically $2,000 of everything I paid is refundable if nothing gets messed up. It's just better to have way more money saved up. So then once you give all that money up, you're not just there like have no money left, because then you have to buy groceries, you have to buy things for the bathroom like towels, you have to buy, like, it's just a lot of things that you have to buy for your house that you probably never even noticed. You obviously live with your parents, so it's like they have everything there for you. Like, we need to buy a vacuum, mop, and like all that stuff is expensive. Like, the vacuum alone was like $70. It's just a lot. While I was looking at other apartments, a lot of them have different fees. Like, it's crazy. Like, okay, there was just a really nice apartment. It was like 1,200 and something. It was very nice. Everything was modern, everything would look so good, but they had so many fees. Like, when I tell you they had so many fees, they had a parking fee. So $50 for every vehicle that you have. They had like a pesticide fee of like $4. Then they had a trash butler fee. It takes your trash and throws it away after you leave it by the dumpster. I don't know. It was just so weird. Then there was like another sewer fee. Then there was like a locker fee. Like, you had to pay $7 a month extra for a locker fee, like if you want mail or anything delivered to you. Like, these fees were crazy. Like, every apartment had crazy fees, which that's why I liked my apartment. Some apartments don't even come with water. That's the crazy part. Basically, the rent is $1,200, but then with all these fees, it's like basically like $1,700. Like, so my apartment, I have the rent and I also have to pay for electricity. So you also have to pay for Wi-Fi. So if you forgot about that, boom, I just reminded you, you have to pay for Wi-Fi. So We pay our rent plus electricity and Wi-Fi. Another thing I forgot to mention is an apartment interview. Like after you pay your security deposit and once you get accepted and everything like that, you have to do an interview with the association. They just want to know like who's living in the apartment. Like they just ask you like simple questions. There's nothing too deep. The interview was literally like on a Zoom call because of coronavirus. I recommend an apartment where there's like an efficient amount of parking. My apartment building like complex, there's a lot of parking. Like literally there's so much guest parking like everywhere. Like there's so many guest parking spots and they're all like convenient. So that's what I really liked. Also, if you have a pet, that's another headache that apartments give you. Most apartments that I looked at, they all have a pet application fee. It's different amounts. Like some places there's $50, $25. I seen a place that was $500 for a dog, and then you have to look at the requirements of the apartment. Like they might not allow like big dogs. They're gonna ask you like, do you have a pet? And you gotta let them know, because if you have a pet and you're trying to hide that little dog, bruh, like you will get kicked out. But some apartments that I did look at, they had a pet monthly fee of like $25. So $25 every month to have your pet there, you know. And then the last thing I just want to talk about is when you're moving in, like if you have a lot of stuff and you don't have somebody that has like a truck or like a big car or something like that, you might want to get a U-Haul truck. We didn't want to keep doing these trips back and forth. Like the U-Haul truck fit everything in one trip, like the dressers, the bed, the couches, the living room set, everything. You just rent it out. I believe it starts at like $20 or $30 for the rental. And then some U-Haul places, they require insurance, which is like $20 more. And basically, they charge you on the amount of miles. So they're gonna probably give you like a little estimate amount and charge it to your car, but then they adjust it when you return it, because they see how many miles you drove. We didn't have to pay that much money for the U-Haul truck because we literally did it in one trip. Just remember, apartments are very expensive, and it also just depends on the area, because you could find really cheap apartments. And if you don't care about the area or the location or like the people, then go ahead. If that's your budget, then I just tell you to go ahead. We chose a really good area, and also we're right by the beach. So literally the beach, like you could probably walk to the beach. And we live like in a really good little neighborhood. It's like full of families. And those are all my tips and how I got my apartment, and hopefully it will help you find your apartment or your place that you want to live at. Make sure you build your credit. Make sure you have money left over. Hopefully this helped you and made you learn some things you probably never knew about an apartment. If you have any questions or anything like that, you could always leave a comment and I'll reply, because I will reply to everybody. You could go DM me on my Instagram if you wanted to be more private, __ oh Bella. I just want you to know that you can do it. Just manifest everything that you want. And if you really want to move out your parents' house, you will do it. I promise you. DM me, talk to me. I'm here for you to help you. This is just what I've learned moving into my first apartment. It's only been like 3 weeks since I moved in, and I've learned a lot. Thank you for watching. Remember, I'm open for any questions always. And yeah, so the girl is out.